Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long was 1975. A YouTuber is on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends used to bug him. Long Boys Blues 1975.
Hey YouTube, Lumboy's Post 1975 and welcome to a collection video. It's been a while since I've done a collection video and it's going to be on the Sega Saturn. This is my Japanese Saturn games. There's not a massive amount here, but it's a video I promised a bunch of people, and I said also to Horatio Van Basten I would do it because me and the Saturn, I've catalogued my Saturn games, my English ones and these ones, but I've not actually done them in a chunk in a collection video as such. I kind of mentioned them during pickup videos, whether it was mainly Saturn games or part of other wider pickup videos such as In the Wild and Games Came in the Mail, because obviously all these Japanese ones come from Japan. Walked into that one, didn't I? Now, since I don't do many pickup videos a year, and I don't really plan on doing, I'm not going to stop doing them, I just don't really plan on doing that many pickup videos a year, because I don't want it to be, you know, the backbone of my channel. There's nothing wrong with it, if that's what you do. I kind of want to more be just gameplays and me, random bloke, talking in front of a camera. But I wanted to do this one as well for a number of reasons, because Japanese Saturn games are A, so nice, and most of the time, B, so cheap. And I initially started buying Saturn games to get the games that I really, really wanted, not necessarily in my collection, but to play. But because obviously the Saturn in the West wasn't the massive, well, do I say massive success? Wasn't the success comparatively it was in Japan. It was second to the Sony PlayStation. It was more popular than the N64. So hence the fact that some of the games that are harder to find in here because of limited print runs are super cheap in Japan. Now that's not all of them, and what I want this to be the main way I collect for my Saturn now, just because they look so lovely. I know. How shallow of me. There are some obviously going to be massively expensive over there, and some that are completely unplayable because they're Japanese, but it is a good way, if your Saturn's modded or you've got a replay cartridge, to get your hands on some more difficult Sega Saturn games. My history with the Saturn is this. While I absolutely love and adore it now, I did back then, but I had my PlayStation. My PlayStation was, this winner, we're talking the 32-bit era, what I wanted, I set out to get. Then my older brother, because obviously he thought, well, there's no point me buying a PlayStation, which was good, because he was also the way I got to play an N64, he bought a Sega Saturn, and we used to creep into his room when he was at college and stuff and work and things like that, and we used to play it, and that's how I got to play it, and fell in love with Sega Rally, Virtua Fighter 2, and to me, even though I used to brag with him, saying, oh, the PlayStation's better, the minute he got, you know, X-Men Children of the Atom, which I really do need to get, again, preferably a Japanese one, I, you know, and did a little bit of homework, realized not only is it, I still think comparable in 3D in the right hands, but obviously that's when I found out it became a 2D powerhouse. I mean, I was addicted to that game. I absolutely loved it. And then I realized how crap Street Fighter vs. X-Men, you know, and the so-called ports of the Alpha games, they're not unplayable, were in comparison to the Sega Saturn. Just talked myself into buying Street Fighter Alpha 3. So I have a history with the Saturn, but it wasn't my console. But I'm glad that my brother went the route, because years later he actually ended up selling it, boo, and then getting a PlayStation as well, which was kind of, I understand why, but removed that whole, if only we'd known then what we know now about how rare it would become, well not rare, but difficult to collect meaty titles for. Well, he would have kept it, wouldn't he? But, so I do have a history with the Saturn, and I do really like and enjoy it. But, so I started collecting Japanese games after I got an Action Replay, and realised that, thanks to a couple of, you know, other YouTubers out there who mentioned it, that in most cases they are super, super cheap. And you don't even have to go out your way, because I'm still boycotting eBay, because after eBay, someone hacked my channel and pretended to be selling something with free delivery, that I couldn't, to anywhere in the country, a farm vehicle, a full-size tractor for like 200 quid, and the amount of shit I got from people, like, obviously someone who's never sold anything on eBay in his life, so only ever bought stuff and had a perfect record, is not going to be selling farm machinery, are they? But you ever tried to fucking contact eBay? It's fucking impossible. So I stay away from eBay. Maybe I'm cutting my nose off to spite my face. But point being, waffling, they're all over Amazon. And yeah, they take like 2 to 3 weeks to come. But in most cases, the shipping is almost free, or just like £1.50 to £2. So you can't knock them apples. And let me just show you with the first game. Do you know what I love about Sega Saturn games? Simplicity is key. You can screw your long boxes, your big boxes, especially those fragile plastic ones that just looking at it on the shelf will make the top corners fucking fly off. They're crap, you know, like, oh, big, impressive. Well, when the CD's like that. And, you know, the cardboard shit that we got in this country that decays quicker than the minute oxygen gets to it, it's fucked and its spine dies. And then, alright, I like the Sega clamshell ones, but the plastic ones, but they're bulletproof, and sometimes you can't even get your hands in them without raping your thumbs. But simplicity is key. Nothing beats a CD case. Look at it. I mean, why would you not put them in a CD case? They're easily replaceable, you know, they're cheaply replaceable. They still look the dog's bollocks, because all it comes down to is the art. So I really like the fact that Saturn games come in, well, so do PlayStation games, to be fair, in their regular cases. Now, anyway, this is Panzer Dragoon 2. It's an on-rail shooter, as well you know. It's graphically phenomenal. It's better graphics than the first game. It has branching routes, has amazing music, a great story, and it's just all-round shiny and delicious. And I don't know, it's probably not one of the more expensive ones in the UK, but considering this was like £5–6, I'm not going to knock those apples. Now, I don't have Panzer Dragoon 1 because it's unlockable in Auto, which I explain how to do in my Panzer Dragoon running on original Xbox within Auto. A mouthful, I know, but yeah. But this is something else. Look at the artwork. I mean, in some cases they will be the same as the West. Look at that. It looks fantastic, and these things all come complete. They come with a spine card, which is obviously on the outside when you get it. Ooh, don't damage its lovely deliciousness. And look at the manuals. Oh, you got your warranty card, pamphlet, I guess health and safety, other games. Just look. What do we get in the UK? God-awful black and white, multi-language, full of European shit stuff. Whatever happened to just making, I know cost, but just making a manual specific for that direct region? Britain. Maybe we can go back to that after Brexit. Just fantastic, just all-round fantastic. And every single one of these, if I remember, because I think I've got them all off the same seller, I'll put a link down below, if I remember. But they all come in absolutely fantastic condition. Look at the disc. To be fair, it almost looks like a CDR copy, doesn't it? But it's not. I assure you such. Now, the other side to Saturn games, Japanese Saturn games, being that I do them, just making sure I don't damage the instructions when I shut it. I'm a tad compulsive like that. Is the other side to Japanese Saturn games is, while you try and fill in the gaps in a collection, well, I don't fill in the gaps because I'm not a die-hard Saturn collector. It's about games I want to play. Sometimes them being, you know, difficult to find for a decent price will make me want them more than I would necessarily so. But the other side to that is you can pick up some Japanese games where your shipping is more than the game. I picked this up for, I don't know, £3. There's no denying. And this is probably cheap in the UK as well. Well, I'm not sure about that, so correct me if I'm wrong. The instructions down below. But, yeah, this was a couple of quid, I think. Maybe £3, and then the shipping was another couple of quid on that. So it was a fiver, you know, so rounded off to. But, and again, it's the artwork in the case and the small Ickle CD. Fighters Megamix, which was a game I never got to play back in the day, which is why this made this list of games I had to play on the Saturn, where you've got Fighting Vipers. Is there a Virtual Cop character in there? I can't remember. Fighting Viper was the she in Fighting Vipers. Fighting Vipers, Virtua Fighter, the Virtua Fighter 2 style graphics, hidden bonuses such as the car from Daytona. But yeah, it got amazing reviews and everyone raved about it back in the day, and the fact that it's two worlds, granted both Sega worlds, colliding made me always want to have it. So that was one I had to absolutely get on my Saturn. And when I found out how cheap it was in Japan, again, they all come with the spine cards, obviously on the outside, on the spine, funnily enough. Who knew? Yeah, it was another one I had to get. as was this, because I still have the original in my UK collection, Virtua Fighter. It's flawed and broken as it is. I have a gameplay where I prove that the 32X version is actually better. I had to have it in its original form because of the nostalgia I have and the impact it made upon me at the time, more so in the arcade than on the Saturn. So obviously it was rushed to be out for release, so Sega did an apology, didn't they? Now I don't know how it worked in the UK, and I don't know how it worked in Japan, but I do know in North America, was there anyone who had their receipt or proof of purchase from the original Virtua Fighter was sent, or eligible to be sent, a Virtua Fighter remix? This could not have helped the whole trouble Sega were in at the time with the lack of sales compared to the Saturn and the Balls launch and stuff like that. You know, another cock up after the Balls launch, which your launch title has to be replaced for free. Oh, you didn't help yourself, Sega. To quote Mo Simpson, dig up, stupid. Yeah, so Virtua Fighter Megamix, which obviously takes the original game but uses the Virtua Fighter 2 graphics. No, it's the engine graphics. I think it runs, does it run at 60? I know Virtua Fighter 2 does. I don't know. But another one I had to have because I heard of it back in the day, saw it in the magazines like CV-G, Mean Machines back in the day, and drooled over it. I knew it played the original one, which, you know, back then I thought was pants. But obviously now I have nostalgia for it. So that was another one. And this is another one that was dirt cheap. I think all in, shipping included. Again, total was a £5. It's brilliant, and well, you can't see it's in the book for protection because the manual is huge, as you would expect, and all in Japanese and lovely. Let's see, we'll just get rid of the spine card so it doesn't fall out. But look at that. It should be on the wall in an art gallery. It looks both tasty, shiny, and delicious. So you got all your moves, but again, it's all in Japanese. But hey, come on, it's Virtua Fighter. Even back then, you could, you know, find guides in magazines. I mean, you wouldn't, where people showed you the best way to play combos and stuff like that. So you wouldn't need it, you know, pre-internet. You wouldn't need necessarily English instructions. But yeah, once again, this is what I mean. Not just plug in the gaps of the more expensive games out there, but plug in the gaps, and it does, obviously, it doesn't just look better, it plays way smoother, obviously, and all the glitches and fuck-ups are out that were in the original Virtua Fighter. But yeah, it's not just about plugging the gaps of stuff that would be too expensive in the West and probably run far inferiorly. It's about, you know, just good economic sense. Yeah. Consumer Advice by Dave. Right, the next one is one called Virtualon, which is basically giant mechs fighting in a 3D environment. Think gladiatorial arena with robots with punching weapons, stuff like that. Certain parts of the scenery to hide behind. Graphically, I think this is lush. The arcade machine was fantastic. I kind of got it because of the whole nagging memories of the arcade machine and the whole two big fat robots fighting in a ring. And I watched a couple of playthroughs. I thought, I want some of that. If only I could afford the joystick. Look up the tank-like joystick for this. It is a thing of beauty and probably worth quite a lot of money if you wanted to buy it. But that's not the point. It's perfectly playable. It takes a little bit more of getting used to, I hear, but I haven't had a problem with it. Perfectly playable on your regular Saturn pad. And again, long box? Why would you want a long box? It's amazing. The manual's particularly tasty and delicious on this. And again, this was... Oh, this might have been getting up there. This might have been pushing out my budget a bit. I think this was probably £7 to £8. Holy cow, how did I afford those beans? Next one was a fantastic donation from Horatio Van Basten, long-time supporter and friend of mine on here and on Facebook. And he sent me this along with a 2000 AD manual, and I'm so appreciative of it. Thank you very much, sir. And that's why this video is for you, Japanese Saturn games. And that is Pocket Fighter or Super Gem Fighter, depending on the region you're in. I played it back in the day on PlayStation, and I can confirm, got a gameplay of this. This absolutely wipes the floor with it, as you would expect with a 2D game. From the pedigree of Capcom, it is pretty much arcade perfect. And I can confirm that because while it's still unlisted, I have a gameplay of the arcade one running on console Coin-Ups 8 on my modded Xbox. So, and this particularly, look at the disc. The art in this is just fantastic, as you would expect in the manual. Now, here we get to Simon Pegg, the game. Seriously, I really, really, really wanted it. I know it's not, it's a loose basing update gameplay of Die Hard, but Die Hard Arcade in the West, particularly in the UK, is one that goes for stupid money. I think the cheapest one I saw, and it said condition acceptable, which in other words means wanked. I saw it for 35 quid, and I thought, I'm not dropping that on it when I can drop £7 on it and get the Japanese one. Alright, it's called Dynamite Decker. But it was written as Die Hard Arcade, but they didn't have the rights to make it Die Hard Arcade in Japan, so it became Dynamite Decker. But when you play it, you know, wife beater and stuff and that, it's Die Hard. And it's got Simon Pegg on the cover. Look, alright, it's not supposed to be Simon Pegg. But again, it's tasty and delicious artwork. Now, it's basically room by room clearance with quick time events, which sounds really silly, but it's not. But the quick time events mean you can, I don't know, progress quicker, but if you fuck it up, it doesn't mean you're out of luck. You don't have to fight people in the room that you failed to progress during the quick time events. But it has, and this is where it excels, you've got weapons and stuff like that. It looks great. Because the arcade machine had similar hardware to the Saturn, didn't it? I believe. That's my knowledge. By all means, correct me if I'm wrong. But you had the 3-button control that you had in Virtua Fighter. So if you think about the sheer number of moves in those games, pretty much there are, you know, equivalent number of moves in this game. In a room-by-room clearance 3D fighter, think Streets of Rage 3D back then. With that many moves, that is unbelievably impressive. And that's why I recommend this game so much, and the Japanese one, because it's super cheap. And it is the same game. But the manual for this one as well. Careful with the spine card, Dave. It's just, that's what I mean. Maybe because they only had to make it for one sort of demographic or language. These manuals are just, they're just a thing of beauty. They really, really are. Colour, detail on every page. Suspense on every level. See what I did there? Quite impressed with that joke. All the move lists, well, some of the move lists as such, as far as I can tell, what it does is it tells you how to, I don't know, combine them and stuff like that. My camera's viewfinder has just gone sideways twice. I have no idea why it's doing that. Hopefully it means I won't have to shoot this again and doesn't show up in the video. But if it does, bollocks, I'm going to put it in anyway. Never said I was BBC because I'm not left wing. See what I did there? Right, the next one is one that's, it's not massively expensive in the UK, but it comes back to just getting the games you want to play for cheaper. And I think I paid about 5-6 quid for this, and it's Clockwork Night. Side-scrolling rendered to 0.5D platformer. They got decent reviews back in the day, but I remember seeing it in the magazines and just absolutely wanting it and loving it. And yeah, this has got water damage. To be fair, that's on my fault, not the person who sent it to me fault, because I know I'm a retro gamer. I shouldn't have such accidents, but we had, at least it was just water and not Coke or coffee. We had a water-related accident. But this is a great game. I don't know what the sequel's like, but I just love the visuals in it and the whole, you know, aesthetic of toys. I guess Sega of Japan. Is it Sega of Japan or someone else? Having a pop at a Toy Story-esque idea with Clockwork Night, an evil Clockwork Night, who's your nemesis side sis. Great game. Here's what I had to get because it's a sport that's big in Japan, and oh, I can't remember how you pronounce it now because I had to look it up. Oh shit, look it up from just typing something King to the Spirits, because it's a sequel, but it's basically about drifting sports way back then, which still was, you know, incredibly popular in Japan, and therefore as a driving game I had to have it. It's on the back. 2A King the Spirits 2. It's a great game. It takes a little bit getting used to the controls, and it's quite difficult, or learning curve I should say, but this is an absolutely great game. And in case you saw my eyes wander then, I was checking the time. Yeah, it's a great game. It's not graphically the best, it doesn't compete with Sega Rally, but it's something different. It's somewhere between Daytona, Ridge Racer, and Sega Rally. The controls is what I'm saying. And it's an absolutely great game. This was super cheap. This was 4 or 5 quid again with shipping. This one is my most expensive, look, it's a dual case Japanese Saturn game, but I had to have it because we all know that the Street Fighter games are pretty much arcade perfect on the Saturn, or arcade perfect is my understanding. There's 2 of these, I believe. That's the Street Fighter collection. I think I paid 15. I definitely paid no more than £15. See, this is 2 years old. No more than £15 with shipping for this, and it's the Street Fighter collection, and it's amazing. Look. So obviously it's the NTSC one. It's going to run at 60. It's going to be tasty and delicious. So you get Street Fighter Collection. So what you basically get is you get Street Fighter Alpha 2. What was the second release of that? I can't remember. Look at the stuff that comes with it. Look at the manual. Yeah, you get the second or the revised version of Street Fighter Alpha 2, which is absolute. Oh, look at that. Absolutely amazing. And you get two versions. Right, see, right, here's what you get. You get Street Fighter 2, the new challenges. Street Fighter 2 Grandmaster Challenge, which is just the definitive pinnacle of Super Street Fighter 2 new challenges or whatever, which is my favourite entry into Street Fighter ever still to this day. And as far as I can tell, they're both arcade perfect. And then you get, see, what it does is half the manual is dedicated to those two games. And then we move on. And then there should be, after all the move lists, actually I think it just puts them in there, doesn't it? No. Then we get to the second half of the manual, which is Street Fighter 0, not Alpha, 0, 2. And I can't remember what edition it is. Does it say? But it is like the fully revised and updated edition. So you got your two Super Street Fighter 2 games on the first disc, and then you got Alpha 0 on the second disc. That is the pride of my Saturn collection. Again, you could argue it wasn't particularly expensive. This is professional, isn't it? Enjoy the top of my Back to the Future hat. You're welcome. But I had to have it. I cannot tell you how much time I've sank into it, and it is the best home ports till this point, which really doesn't compare, but it's still great. My favourite Super Street Fighter 2 port, Grandmaster Challenge, was on the 3DO. Next up, one of these games is still not open, but in my defence, I got it around about Christmas, so I was quite flooded with games, you know, PlayStation Mini, Spyro, stuff I bought myself. That's not a game title, but you know what I mean. Yeah, this is one I didn't know was on the Saturn. I absolutely did not know, and it's not made by Sega, and it's considered a perfectly playable and a faithful but not super polished port. But again, if you want this in the West, sell your house, you know, mortgage your house and break out your checkbook, and that's House of the Dead. I always thought the original House of the Dead was on the Sega Dreamcast, but it's not, it's House of the Dead 2. So I didn't know, and obviously because I got a CRT telly, and I don't have a light gun, I have to play this on a control pad, but it's still perfectly playable. And I have a, you know, excuse me, that's what I get for always having breakfast before my videos. But yeah, it's still perfectly playable, and I just, you know what, I'm perfectly happy playing light gun games on a pad, because that's how tight it is. But yeah, it doesn't look the greatest. It's, you know, it's fully faithful. It's just a bit dirty and jaggy, which kind of helps with the sort of game it is, which is the undead. But I just like the whole premise. When they made this, they made it like Virtua Cop, but then they had to change the number of frames of animation or something like that, simply because of the logistics of being able to shoot people in different parts of their body and not having that lock-on effect to make it more sort of like, I guess, tense, pressured, stuff like that, which for a light gun game as well, it really, really totally works. This was a £5, I think, no more than a tenner. I'm struggling with some of these because this was before Christmas, but yeah, this is a good way to get this game. Sorry, I left instructions on the floor. I'm sorry, Japanese Saturn instructions. Yeah, very good way to get that game, particularly because of the Western prices. Now, the final one is still sealed, but like I said, in my defence, I got it just before Christmas. And I kind of need to find some walkthroughs or playthroughs of it, because I understand it doesn't play like Virtua Fighter. But it's All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua. So it's the license of the Japanese wrestling circuit at the time with two Virtua Fighter characters. Who was it? Jeff and Wolf? I don't know. So these are licensed individuals. Now, it's a 3D... I don't know what it's going to show up because it's unwrapping. It's a 3D, you know, wrestling game. But apparently, don't think you can enter this. This is why I've been put off a tad. Don't think you can enter this with your knowledge of Virtua Fighter, which, to be fair, I'm not that great at anyway. Or the wrestling moves of the Virtua Fighter characters. But I heard good things about it, saying... Some people say it's not too polished and it's a bit difficult, but with, you know, perseverance and putting some time into it, it's a hidden gem. And I was all for a wrestling game, sold by the fact that two Virtua Fighter characters are in it, but I'm all for a wrestling game in 3D on the Sega Saturn, and with the novelty of being licensed wrestlers, albeit from Japan, at the time. Sorry, windy pops. So, this was my Japanese Sega Saturn collection. It's not the biggest collection in the world. It's still going to get bigger, because this is my priority way of collecting from now, if only because of the cost involved. As I said, not across all titles. I will break the bank every now and then. I'm going to break the bank, by my standards, for X-Men Children of the Atom. But it is a good way for some of the titles. And there are some games out there, almost RPG-like games, that the majority are in English. Do some research on YouTube and you'll find out. Plenty of people do lists. This was just my Japanese collection list because I've been asked to do it. And this will be the way I collect, mainly because, well, not because I'm cheap, but I enjoy a bargain. Why piss away money into the wind if you don't have to? Now, as always, I'd love to know what you think. Do you like the Saturn? Do you collect for the Saturn? Did you have one but would want one? Do you collect Japanese games? You know, I always love to know what you think, especially about older games collections like this and the route to go, whether it's NTSC, but not just Japan, NTSC North America, or do you just stick with the tried and tested Power one because it's what you had as a kid? And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.